The college baseball experience on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. Use promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today. We're also brought to you by Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. Head to cut.com, that's KUTT.com, and use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. We're also brought to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Patreon. The guys just dropped their bonus behind-the-scenes episode of Sean Green winning $200,000. Plus, this week's Pick'em prize is a free $250 Super Bowl square. SportsGamblingPodcast.com/Patreon to join today. Yes. Woo! It is showtime. I'm so excited for this episode, a 2024 preseason college baseball fantasy draft. My name is Noah Bieniek, aka 77, and man, do I have a superstar loaded lineup of college baseball betting and gambling content creators for you, giving their takes in the preseason on some of the best players college baseball has to offer. Before we get to this episode, I wanted to do a little bit of a prelude. We're doing this show in supplement of a missing show through last week. Shout out to my co-host Colby Dant, who is a new father. So without further ado, we move on to today's content. The only just absolutely loaded collaboration of a college baseball fantasy draft out there on the College Experiences YouTube channel. I encourage you to watch this. We have visualizations and amazing graphics from the one and only Cameron Kerr, our graphic designer over at SGPN for the College Experience. And without further ado, let's get to the content. All right, it's my pleasure to display to you guys just an all-star lineup of, in my opinion, some of the best college baseball handicappers. I apologize. Almost stumbled and said college basketball, but college baseball season's right around the corner. We wanted to, most of us are handicapping teams, some handicap pitchers right before the games. We don't really get many player takes out there. This is an opportunity for us here in the preseason to kind of jump in on a couple of players that we love. We're going to do a preseason 2024 college baseball draft. For fantasy purposes, it's going to be a best ball type thing. We're going to run through the scoring in a little bit. I'm going to introduce the guys from left to right. We did a randomized draft order, and this is how we're going to go. In the top left, you see Johnny Venezia. He hosts a show Breaking Bet, covering college baseball all season long here. Johnny, what's up, my guy?
Yo, it was good. 2 podcasts, 2 days, baby. Love college baseball. It's like that new girlfriend that you have that, like, there's so many possibilities. You're so excited about it, and you can't get enough of it.
I love it. I have pick number 2, so I'm in the bottom left on YouTube. I would highly suggest, we've got some great graphics coming in from Cameron Kerr throughout the show on the YouTube portion. So visually, you would love this podcast as well. Pick number 3, top middle, representing the NCAA Insiders is Matt Grissom. They do plenty of great work on the visualization of college baseball as well, around betting odds. They put out a preseason guide that, I was a part of, Johnny was a part of. Thankful for that exposure as well. Matt, what's up? Thanks for hopping in and doing this with us.
I'm glad to be here, just living the dream, ready for college baseball to start, as I think everybody in this video is.
For sure. In the bottom right, picking 4th for us tonight is Jake Fetner, representing CBS Sports and SportsLine. Jake, fellow Florida Gator fan, what's going on, my guy?
Everything's all good. I'm excited for the season to start. It's my first fantasy baseball college draft, so I've had plenty of MLB drafts, so this is definitely a new thing, and I really enjoyed it. But I've been working the last couple months, refining my college baseball model and ready to win some money.
All right. And then picking fifth for us today, representing Action Network, Doug Ziefel. Doug Z, what's going on?
What's going on, guys? I'm really happy to be here. It's awesome getting to share this with the community. I've been growing the college baseball game over at Action, and this is going to be awesome. And, of course, Noah saved the best for last, and that's how everyone's going to feel about my team when we're done with this.
All right. He's back in the fire. We'll see how the drafts get, visual or perceived publicly when we go live here. I can't wait for some of the comments that'll come trickling in, because not sure who else is compiling a full fantasy draft like we did. To save time, we drafted it in a group chat over the last 2 weeks, and we were able to pump out some graphics and stuff on just for visual purposes on YouTube. And I'll talk about the scoring on how we are going to be judged based off of this. It's going to be like best ball. So I'm not going to be calculating each week's score like you will see in like fantasy football, fantasy basketball, fantasy hockey, fantasy baseball. But it'll be a best ball roster size at the end of the season. And we'll just take the final points from your top 3 pitchers. We will be drafting 4 pitchers though, but top 3 pitchers in scoring. Everybody gets one rostered 2-way player, and then there was a utility / bench role that you were able to draft more possible utility players. 2 rostered catchers, 1 starting catcher, and then 1 first baseman, 1 second baseman, 1 third baseman, 1 shortstop. 5 rostered outfielders, 3 starting outfielders. The scoring goes: the hitters get 1 point for each total base, a run scored, an RBI, a stolen base, and a walk. If the hitter strikes out, it is -1. For the pitching, +3 for each inning pitched. Then we changed up some of the rules here. We went with -2 for a walk, -2 for an earned run. That's more of the same for most fantasy baseball players out there. 1 point for a strikeout, 2 points for a win, -2 for a loss, +2 for a save, +2 for a hold. That way, if you wanted to draft some relievers, there was a possibility there. But most of us went with the starting pitcher role. We implemented some special rules as well. That way we could get some mid-major players in here as well. At least 1 player drafted from each of the conferences in the SEC, ACC, Big 12, and Pac-12, and at least 1 player from a true mid-major conference, a max of 5 players from a single conference, max of 3 players from a single team, and a max of 2 pitchers from a single team. Without further ado, Johnny, you are on the clock with the first overall pick. You are going to select who?
None other than Jack Caglione, Jack, 2-way player. Everybody wanted to compliment Shohei Ohtani. How can I not take a guy that led the country in home runs last year and has since been reported to up his velo on his fastball to 102 in the fall, change his arm slot, expecting a lot more from him on the mound in his 3rd year at the University of Florida.
Yes, sir. I think that's a great pick. The utility, the 2-way player, I think is really going to break the game if he has a year like he did last year. The number 1 overall pick, that was a slam dunk in my opinion. I'm on the clock with number 2. I'm going to take Josh Hartle. Last year, we did a College World Series fantasy draft, and from what I noticed, the starting pitchers kind of led the way in points production. Give me the Friday night guy for the preseason number 1 ranked team, Josh Hartle. He was top 4 last year in strikeouts. That's one way that I think he's going to rack up some points for me. We now go to pick number 3, representing the NCAA Insiders. Sorry to Quentin Mills, who was unable to make it today. But Grissom, you're picking number 3 overall here. Go ahead.
Maybe the hottest name in the transfer portal, Chase Burns, pitcher. Touched over 100 for Tennessee in that super regional, really put himself on the map. I feel like joined the Wake Forest pitching lab today, 10 Ks in 4 innings pitched, touched 99, 99, 99, bunch of other big numbers.
Disgusting.
That's what you want to, that's what you want to see in a first round pick.
Pick number 4 overall in the first round, Jake. Go ahead, man.
Got to go with Tommy Tanks here. I'm not going to say it's a safe pick with my first one, but you know what he's going to give you. He's going to hit 350 with 20 jacks. So And I don't think it's really a strong year at third base, and you can play him at third base here. And especially with Sheldon moving off the position to shortstop, a lot of these guys move from third to shortstop when they're upperclassmen. But Tommy Tanks is just going to rake this year.
Good call. A position of need for sure. To wrap up the first round, Doug Ziefel from Action Network. Your 5th overall pick is who?
Yeah, my first guy, I'm going with Nick Kurtz, the leader of Rake Forest. I mean, from a fantasy perspective, it's hard to beat this guy. You can't get him out. He had an OPP of 527 last year, hit 353 and 24 bombs. He's also perfect games preseason National Player of the Year, so we could even see better numbers this year.
And it's a snake draft, so you get back-to-back picks here. 6th overall, your second pick for your team. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I had my double dip here. I took one of Johnny's favorite guys here, JJ Weatherholt. It's got to be one of the best hitters in the country. Led the nation average 449, but he's got pop, 16 homers, 36 bags, another 5-category guy to start out my team.
Love it. Jake, your second pick. Go ahead.
I'm going to go with Ethan Petrie here. He's coming off a huge freshman season where he had 23 bombs, hit 376 as a true freshman last year, and he's only going to get better in year 2. That lineup, they added Kennedy Jones. He has a lot more protection this year. South Carolina doesn't have the pitchers that they had last year with Will Sanders, but that lineup's going to rake.
Yeah, 100%. Broke out his freshman year. Great pick here. Back to the NCAA Insiders, pick number 2. This one might have been a Quentin Mills, pick from my belief, right, Grissom? Oh, you're muted, buddy.
Yeah, it was. I wanted Hagen Smith, but thought we could double back and get him on the next round, only to give your next pick away. But yeah, Colby Shelton, he transferred in from Alabama, did pretty well. He's with Florida, 25 home runs, 1143 OPS last year for Bama. I feel like he's going to do good things for the Gators, so I can live with the pick.
Yeah, and like Grissom mentioned, I'm on the clock here. We did the draft throughout the last 2 weeks on a text chain, and I think I received a shit fuck you, Noah, after the Hagen Smith draft pick here. I think first off, he's going to be the ace on my favorite weekend rotation this year. They bring back the most experience and talent, in my opinion. Wake Forest has a load of talent in that weekend rotation, but I think they with the experienced starter and Michael Massey as SP3, I think Arkansas brings back more and better experience. Hagen Smith last year was 8-2 in 18 appearances, and he was kind of a rover. He was either closing games or starting games or coming in leverage positions. So he had 71 innings pitched. He eclipsed the 100 strikeout mark. I think given that I am expecting him to start more games this season, I think he might just turn into a pure animal on the mound. And going from my starting pitcher draft strategy, he was a slam dunk for me here in the second round. We go to Johnny V. Give us your first pick here on the snake turn, and then we'll recap the first 2 rounds.
None other than the next era, Trey Turner. That's Vance Honeycutt. Monster freshman season in 2022 out of UNC. Down year, battled some injuries and wasn't that effective last year. I'm expecting a Golden Spikes type of year for the center fielder out of North Carolina. 5-tool category player. Let me tell you something, man. I think this kid might win the Golden Spikes as well.
I love the bold prediction. Let's recap the first 2 rounds here with first overall going to Johnny V was Jack Caglione. Second overall, Josh Hartle. Third overall, Chase Burns. Fourth, Tommy White to Jake. 5th and 6th overall to Doug was Nick Kurtz and JJ Weatherholt. Then Jake took Ethan Petrie. Colby Shelton goes to the NCAA Insiders. Then I took Hagen Smith, and Johnny V wrapped up the second round with Vance Honeycutt. Any overall takeaways to the first 2 rounds? Anything that surprised you guys? Any just analysis that you want to give on any opposing teams?
I still hate you.
Yeah, I hate you too. I can't believe you guys didn't take Vance Honeycutt. I think this is more than just a fantasy thing. This goes for the spikes, and this goes for like all the analysis on like D1 Baseball 11.7. There's like so much hype when a guy's high, and then if he has one bad year, everybody like casts him off to the side. Like everybody was so hyped on Vance Honeycutt after his freshman year, and then he has a down year last year, and then they toss him aside, like getting him outside the top 10 for the MLB draft for this summer, like projections wise. Like this is a guy that realistically has a shot to go number one, if not be a top 3 pick this summer if he gets back to what he did as a freshman.
That's if he gets back to what he did. But I do think he's going to be great. But he also strikes out a ton. And if we were drafting for fielding, yeah, I'd love Vance Honeycutt. But he's hit below 300 both years. That's the one thing that scares me.
He had 296 as a freshman. It's not terrible.
It's not terrible at all. But for fantasy, it's not what you're looking for in the top 2 rounds. But I do think he could break out. I was looking at his practice clips this week. And he's put together some nice practices. He went 2 for 4 the last 2 days. So
I finally understand what like NFL fans do during training camp, because that's been me just hawking these social media clips from all these top baseball programs around the country. I guess my takeaway from the first 2 rounds was I think two-way player. If you can get a smash, that would have been one way to build an advantage over others, because I think there's a couple of top tier guys. I was I guess surprised that the two-way didn't get taken more early. We then go to the 3rd round. Let me pull back up the normal layout that we were rocking with. Let's pause the college baseball fantasy draft content here for a second and let me tell you about DraftKings. Are you looking for a super offer for Super Bowl 58? DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. New customers can bet on the big game and turn $5 into $200 instantly in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code SGP. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 58 with code SGP. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, or in West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. See dkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, as they have a way to play alongside your favorite fantasy players all season long. NFL, NBA, NHL, college basketball, and college football. Simply pick higher or lower on some of your favorite players' fantasy stats and cash in. You can win up to 100x on some of these spicy plays. And who knows, maybe college baseball plays and player projections are down the line. So watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little bit of cash over on Underdog's mobile app or fantasy website, underdogfantasy.com. When you sign up with promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. Johnny, take it away. Your 3rd round pick, 11th overall here.
I felt it was a good time to get my pitcher only. And since Noah is a scumbag and took Hagen Smith for me, I decided to go with the farm kid from Iowa, baby. Brody Brecht, livest arm in the country. One of the livest arms we've seen in the last decade, pumping up to 104. He has some polish and command issues, but we saw when he's on his game, he is unhittable. And if he puts it together this year, he's going to be in the mix as well for a top 5 overall draft pick. And it's going to be big for Mr. Brody Brecht to quit football and focus solely on baseball.
I like that pick. There's a possible breakout there, but there's also more expectations placed on him than ever before. We'll see how this year goes. Definitely the ace, the best pitcher in the Big Ten label as well. My 3rd pick, 12th overall, I'm going with the two-way guy that I talked about. Give me Peyton Tolley. a solid pitcher and a solid hitter on both sides of the ball. He's a career 4.56 ERA guy, 13 wins, 9 losses with Wichita State. Previously, he racked up 97 strikeouts with the Shockers last season, also batting .313 for his career. Possibility of double-digit home runs this season, as he had 13 last year. And from what we're hearing, he's filled out the body even more. So I'm taking my two-way guy, in my opinion, the second best two-way guy out there with Peyton Tolley. Back to the NCAA Insiders on the clock. Grissom?
Yeah, you made us kind of rush this two-way player. I wanted to take one before it kind of all fell off. So I went with Braden Montgomery, the transfer from Stanford to Texas A&M. Not sure how much he'll pitch. He wasn't stellar last year on the mound with a 12.21 ERA and 14 innings pitched. But that Texas A&M squad needs all the help in pitching they can get. As far as the hitting, he had 17 home runs. I feel like he could replicate that with this Aggie lineup and a 1072 OPS. So there you have it.
All right. Then we go to Jake for pick number 4 in the 3rd round.
Yeah, I went with Michael Massey here. I think that it's impossible to have to face Hartle and then Burns and then go with the Massey. He had 76 strikeouts and just over 40 innings last year, and now he's the 3rd starter in that Wake rotation. I saw that he added a new curveball this offseason that's been sharp in practice. I think I followed him back in Tulane his freshman year because my coworker John Bowman's a big Tulane guy, and he wasn't great his freshman year, but he definitely had flashes as a starter. And I think in that Wake pitching lab as a 3rd starter, he doesn't have as much pressure on him. He's just going to shine this year as a starter.
Yeah, that's a great point. He's already been a starting pitcher before in his career. The transition shouldn't be too hard. And one of my favorite nuggets from him was like his fastball, the rise on his fastball, like broke metric systems. So, Doug, we then go to you for the snake turn here in the 3rd and 4th rounds. Hit us with your back-to-back picks.
Yeah, my 3rd pick, my power surge is going to continue with Charlie Condon out of UGA, coming off a big season, hitting .386 with 24 bombs, continuing my theme of at least 3 category contributors. And then my 4th round pick, I'm going to get my ace in Trey Yesovich out of ECU. He broke out in 2023. He's one of the toughest guys to square up in the country. 105 punch outs in 76 innings, a 193 BAA. Not a better guy I want to lead my squad.
Love it. We then go back to Jake here for this is the 17th overall pick.
I'm going with Travis Bazzana here. I'm surprised he fell this far. I guess he doesn't have like the power numbers, but he's going to hit in the high 300s and he's going to get on base. He has a lot more protection this year. I think this Oregon State lineup is very solid 1 through 9. And I think he's due for a big year. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the number 1 overall pick in the draft.
Yeah, you kind of took him right off my plate here. I was eyeing him in the 4th round. Surprised he did fall this far as well. Grissom, we then go back to the NCAA Insiders. Overall pick 18.
One of the multiple Texas Tech Red Raiders we took this time, Gavin Cash, first baseman, 326 batting average last year, 26 home runs, wanted a strong power hitter, 1086 OPS. I feel like him and another player I'll get to later will do good things for the Red Raiders this year.
Awesome. My pick here, 19th overall. My whole entire strategy really in fantasy baseball for the MLB, I kind of translated it to my 4th round pick. I draft in positions of need where there's not much depth around in the leagues and in the country. So I took a catcher here, and this lineup's fucking loaded around him. Give me Derek Bender on Coastal Carolina. I think he's going to be the beneficiary of a very powerful offense. He batted .341 last season, scored 61 runs, had 83 ribbies, was a homer shy of 20. I'm expecting a huge year from Bender. Love him as my 4th round pick as the catcher. I think I got probably the best catcher available on the board. Johnny, let's swing it 4th and 5th round picks here.
Yeah, I can't believe you morons let me take Jace Lavalette at the end of the 4th round. This is a kid who's profiling as one of the top picks in the 2025 draft. And, This kid blew up as a freshman last year. 21 home runs, about 20 stolen bases or more, 287 average. This kid is only going to get better. And I talked about it on Breaking Bet yesterday. I took a sprinkle on him at 75-1 to win Golden Spikes because the price was way too outrageous. Same day, it gets dropped to 50-1, and then this afternoon, it's 40-1. I still think it's too long. This kid is a superstar. He's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the strength. He's going to be an absolute stud for the Texas A&M Aggies in year 2.
All right, and then hit us with your second pick here, starting off round 5.
I'm not going to say he's the best catcher in the country, but he's one of the best, and that's Stanford's Malcolm Moore. He's not very flashy, but the kid just hits, bro. I think realistically we could be looking at a 330 average, close to 18 home runs in a Stanford lineup where he's going to be asked to be doing a lot because they lost guys like Braden Montgomery and Tommy Troy. So Malcolm Moore filling a position of need. We're going to be getting a guy that can really hit.
Love it. Yeah, definitely a very good catcher in his own right. We'll see how the Stanford Cardinal pan out this season. Getting overlooked, and I feel like that's never a good thing with Stanford because they always defy the odds. I'm taking a flyer with my 5th round pick. I'm going back to Wake Forest, and I'm going to take their shortstop, Seaver King. JUCO All-Star, hit .411 last season. Then he played for Team USA in the summer and the collegiate national team. He hit over 400. I think it was like 430. And then in Cape Cod League, batted .424. He's got sneaky pop. I wouldn't say it's power bat, but in the shoebox known as the couch, there might be some doubles that get counted as home runs for me this season, and a hitter for average and what should be a very good lineup this season. I love Seaver King in the 5th round. We then go back to the NCAA Insiders in the middle of the 5th. Grissom, hit us with your next pick.
You took Hagen Smith, but I wasn't letting you take Brady Taggart. He's coming off an injury, going to do big things this year. He led the team last year, and I think he had 4 starts. But he led the team in Sierra and whip, had 31 strikeouts to 4 walks, or 8 walks, sorry. I think there's going to be really good things happening for Brady Taggart this year. He's going to step into that starting pitcher number 2 role.
24th overall pick goes to Jake. Go ahead.
Yeah, this might be a bit of an overdraft, a little bit early, but I like Matt Yeager here for UCSB. I just love UCSB this year. They're my sleeper to get to Omaha, but I mean, a lot of people have them in their top 20. So I don't know how much of a sleeper they are, but that pitching rotation is really, really deep. And they're going to have a really good bullpen because of how deep that pitching rotation is. Some of these guys who were starters last year are going to move to the pen. So if they have a lead, there's a good chance that they hold on to a lead that could get me some wins here. He had 115 strikeouts to just, I think, 29 walks last year. So he racked up the strikeouts last year. And as a sophomore, he should have some similar numbers this year as a junior.
I like the bold pick. I'm also pretty high on UCSB. I think they have a chance to get to Omaha. Doug, we get to you for the 5th and 6th round swing. 25th overall, 26th overall. Go ahead.
Yeah, my 5th round pick. Got a big reaction in our chat here as we go with Mike Sirota from Northeastern. Northeastern may not be a team that you're going to find a lot of game coverage on this year, but he's a guy to know. 5 tools. Hit 346 last year, 18 bombs, 19 bags. Again, just another multi-category contributor to my team here.
My favorite part of your analysis there was the games might be hard to view. I'm a perennial Flow Sports hater, so shout out to you for mentioning that. Then 26th overall, you're on the podium again.
I'm bolstering my pitching staff with Drew Beam from Tennessee. We saw a drop-off from his 2022 freshman year, but he's still a first-round arm, and we know what we're going to get. He's a solid guy to add as my SB2.
Yeah, I think, honestly, he was the most steady hand from the preseason top 3 starters on Tennessee last year. He's pitched like a Friday night starter in 3 years for them, I think, or in 2 years, I think in his 3rd year, the transition to Friday. No worry at all, in my opinion. Jake, 27th overall. You're on deck here.
I'm going with Ethan Anderson here, catcher out of Virginia. I like that he has catcher eligibility this year, moving to replace Kyle Teal. He hit 374 with 15 home runs last year. That lineup's still going to be pretty good, even though they lost Teal, they lost Geloff. I think Virginia's going to be they're ranked 10th, I think, in the BA's latest rankings, but I have them as one of my 8 teams for Omaha. They're going to be just as good as they were last year, in my opinion.
Love it. I think Q, if he was here, he'd like it as well. That prediction. We're going to go to his team, the NCAA Insiders. Grissom has given us their pick for the 6th round.
I went with Deuce Gorson for UCLA, second baseman. I think the Pac-12 is going to be down as far as pitching, and this is outside of Bazana, to me, one of the best the best hitters in the Pac-12. So I'm expecting big things out of him this season.
With my 29th overall pick, I'm going to take my goggled freak, one of my favorite pitchers in the nation, Ryan Johnson from Dallas Baptist. Last year, he was 8-4 with a 4.43 ERA, finished with 116 strikeouts. That was the 16th most in the country. I think Dallas Baptist has a loaded lineup. He'll be able to get some wins under his belt and also continue to rack up the strikeouts. So give me Ryan Johnson here. He's my 3rd starter that wraps up my virtual fantasy baseball weekend rotation. Johnny, to wrap up the 6th round, give us your one pick, and then we can do some analysis on the teams through 6 rounds.
I think I got to keep the trend going here, getting these big daddy wagon smash players. I'm going with Hunter Hines from Mississippi State. This is a guy that is good for 20 home runs and about 60 RBIs. He flirts right around 300. He's got 38 home runs in his first 2 seasons at Mississippi State. Matt won't agree with me, but I think the Bulldogs are destined for a big turnaround in 2024. One of my sleeper teams, and Hunter Hines, along with Dakota Jordan, are going to be big reasons why.
Love it. All right, let's display the teams through 6 rounds here on YouTube. Again, visualizations. You won't find anything like this in a college baseball fantasy draft. Johnny V's team through 6 rounds. Cags, Honeycutt, Brecht, Laviolette, Moore, Malcolm Moore from Stanford, Hunter Hines from Mississippi State. My team, Josh Hartle, Hagen Smith, Tolley, Bender, Seaver King, Ryan Johnson from DBU. The NCAA Insiders have Burns, Shelton, Montgomery, Cash, Brady Tiger, and Deuce Gerson. Jake Fetner, Tommy White, Ethan Petrie, Michael Massey, Bazana, Matt Ager, Ethan Anderson, and Doug Z. Nick Kurtz, JJ Weatherholt, Charlie Condon, Trey Savage, Mike Sirota, Drew Beam. Any takeaways through 6 rounds, guys?
I think Doug might have the first 4 draft picks in this draft this year with Kurtz, Weatherholt. Maybe Condon goes up there. Sirota's getting some steam. If Jack struggles with injuries or striking out too much, I think Doug could have a lot of the top draft picks. Johnny V's team is just loaded with massive tools, so I like that. But
high ceiling
and a bunch of guys that don't hit over 300.
Yeah,
they're high ceiling guys.
He's definitely going to win the home run category, but I don't know if he's going to win the batting average or the walk category for pitching with Brody Brecht in there. But he's got the tools
for sure. Anything else, Phyllis?
Yeah, I actually like. We're going to echo it. I like Doug's team a lot. I kept an eye on everybody's team, and if I'm being objective, I'm not talking about my team because I want to keep my opinion on my own squad out of it. I really like what Doug did. He was able to get, as we talked about, a lot of the top draft picks for this year, but he's got a blend of everything. He's got 2 Friday night guys on the mound. He's got arguably, maybe I would say 75 home runs, 75 to 100 home runs right there. And then a couple guys that could get 25, 30 bags again each.
Grissom, are you a fan of Doug's team as well?
Yeah, it's pretty solid. I had Mike Sirota and Charlie Condon on my list that me and Q were exchanging with. So he definitely stole a couple of players there. I think everybody has multiple players that I wanted, but we tried to pump the brakes on really showing our cards early, and go all Florida and Arkansas. So I really had to scrape what we had left to come up with some type of formidable team.
I was doing the same thing as Johnny. I think I was keeping an eye on most of everybody's teams. Obviously, I was inputting each name in the draft board, so I obviously had the advantage here of just having them on paper right in front of me. Through 6 rounds, I think most of the teams, there's not much of an advantage built. My team went pitching loaded. Doug Ziefel's team is very balanced. Fetner's team's balanced. NCAA Insiders have some bang for their buck with both pitching and some hitting. And Johnny V maybe has the highest ceiling. That was my takeaway as well. We then go ahead.
Sorry, I will say one more thing. I think Doug stole Drew Beam. I think Drew's going to have a really good season. He was one of their best pitchers last year, and it's a big jump going from Sunday to Friday, but I think if anybody can do it, it'll be him.
I agree. Real quick, before we get to more rounds of the college baseball fantasy draft, I must talk to you about Cut. Cut is a peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. P2P social betting is a new and better way to bet. Bet directly against your friends or other users on sports, politics, pop culture, and other events with verifiable outcomes, plus tons of other fun social features that give it the feel of a real betting social network. Cut offers lower VIG and fully customizable odds so you can create your own bets. Cut handles the payment side of things, so you never have to chase anyone down for that money. Social features include group chats, betting leaderboards, head-to-head history, user profiles, fan groups, and more. You can get cash back every single time you bet against your friends or other users. Cut also allows you to list almost any kind of bet, which is perfect for getting action in on some of these fun, exotic Super Bowl prop bets. Cut is the peer-to-peer social betting platform that's U.S.-based and available in 40 states. Head to cut.com, that's KUTT.com, and use promo code SGPN for a 10% deposit bonus. Also, the college experience is brought to you by Game Time. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be so stressful. That's why Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun you'll have. Whether it's flash deals and last-minute tickets in markets, easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. They offer images of the seat views on their app, and they offer a lowest price guarantee, plus event cancellation protection and job loss protection. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. It's the fastest-growing ticketing app in the country for a reason. Get images of your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Snag the tickets without stress using Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account using code CFBX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem using code CFBX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Now, let's get back to the college baseball fantasy draft.
Before we start with the 7th round, I just want to point out, so like if people are wondering, watching this, how did certain guys fall? We don't have an official big board that we're all looking at like we're doing a fantasy.
There's no
draft.
cheat sheet.
Like we'd be in the middle of like working out or at like the food store, and we'd get a text like, "Okay, hey, you're up," and like I'm like, I don't know who's available at the top of my head, but how are we ranking these guys? So like, you just got to kind of come up with it off the top of your head.
Yeah, I was skiing in Utah when I drafted half of my picks. So
there we go. We're trailblazers in the college baseball fantasy realm. Next season, there's going to be an Action Network cheat sheet. There's going to be an SGPN cheat sheet. There's going to be a CBS Sports college baseball cheat sheet. Jake Fetner is going to be working with what's his name? Frank Stanfill in the college baseball fantasy podcast next season. This is how we're blazing trails for people across the country. Starting off round 7, Johnny V, take it away.
You know, I had to go with a guy that, you know, I think he's going to be really good. Draft eligible sophomore. You guys have to correct me if he played somewhere before Oklahoma State, but Carson Benji.
Correct. You're right.
He's a draft eligible sophomore.
Yep.
He's a guy that was drawing a lot of first round potential this offseason. And, you know, the thing is, keeping an eye on guys that can go in the first round. They're going in the first round for a reason. And Carson Benji is a guy that can flat out rake. Not a ton of power right now. He only had 7 bombs last season. I would hope he can get more along the lines of like the 12 range while keeping up towards that 345 average. But along with Nolan Schubar, Carson Benji is going to be the heart and soul of that Oklahoma State Cowboys team. And I thought at this stage of the draft, it was a pretty good pick for me.
Yeah, great pick. Two-way player as well. Fills in that slot and definitely going to be contributing on the offensive side for the Pokes big time. For me, I'm going with a sophomore here in Cade Kurland. As a freshman with Florida, he was tremendous. And we're talking Jake Fetner was mentioned in a lot of 5 category guys. Even Doug mentioned that as well. This is my first true 5 category guy, in my opinion. He had 17 home runs, 17 doubles, 75 runs scored, 50 RBI. He stole 4 bags, and he hit 297 with a 959 OPS. Love this kid. Plus, it's at a position of need, second base, that, I had kind of fallen behind. And I was like, you know what? I need to take my second baseman now before they truly, I think, fall off. Because you looked at it, you had Weatherholt, who was already taken early. And then just Grissom as well, second baseman. So I didn't want to fall behind in the second base category. So we talked about NCAA Insiders, going with a two-way player early because they didn't want to fall behind. This was my spot in the draft. Speaking of their team, Grissom has their 7th round pick here.
Yeah, this was the guy I had circled, Evan Crest. He is going into his sophomore season for Jacksonville. He started as a true freshman as their Friday night guy. He threw a 2.68 ERA, went 8-2. This dude's special. I look for starting pitchers that go the length. I want all those strikeouts. He averaged over 6 innings pitched all season long in all 15 starts. So I went small school. Hopefully it pays off for me.
100%. I think that was to Johnny V's point earlier that he made after the 6th round. These small mid-major guys are not really on the radar when we're skiing in Utah or at the coffee shop, like some were mentioning as well. So I really think that some of the mid-major pitchers that were just superstars last year and didn't transfer up, those might have been some gems in the weeds that we're going to start picking up here in the coming rounds. Number 34 overall pick, Jake, you're on the clock.
Yeah, I got to say with Evan Crest, I'm from Jacksonville. I used to grow up going to JU games, watching Daniel Murphy play. I saw him pitch a couple times last year. He's got some nasty stuff. He was a freshman last year, a little undersized, but he's got filthy stuff. With 34th pick, I'm going with Indiana outfielder Devin Taylor. My sister went to Indiana, so I've always followed Indiana baseball a little bit, even though she went to 0 games in 4 years. But Devin Taylor was the freshman of the year in the Big Ten last year. He could really rake. I think he hit 10 home runs during the summer as well. That lineup's going to be really good. I threw a ticket in on them at plus 3,500 to make the College World Series. I just think the value is really good. There's some teams above them that I don't think are going to even finish the season at 500 in the odds. But I think they should be a regional team at least. So I think that's pretty good value at plus 3,500.
Johnny, we found another IU backer, right? You're also pretty high on Indiana coming into the season. Doug, we go to you for the turn in the 7th and 8th round.
Yeah, I'm finally getting a catcher on the board here. Jacob Cozart out of NC State. Widely regarded as one of the best defensive catchers in the country, but we saw him step up at with the stick last year. He hit over 300, double-digit homers, and reports are that he mashed in USA trials. So we could see even more out of him offensively.
Awesome. Your next pick here, 8th round.
8th round, going with Anthony Silva, shortstop out of TCU. This kid was the heart of this team when they were in Omaha last year, and he made an impact, not only on the biggest stage, but all year long. He hit 330, stole 17 bags.
Awesome. 37th overall, Jake. A little birdie told me you were drafting for some power here.
Yeah, I went for some power here, taking a first baseman, Blake Burke from Tennessee. It pains me going with a Tennessee player as a Gator fan, but I think Burke's due for a big season, being draft eligible. He had a bit of a down season last year with the OPS under 900, but this Tennessee lineup is going to be nasty from 1 through 9, especially with their pitching not as good as it was last year. With a couple of these guys like Burns and Dolan, they're gone. So they're going to rely more on their bats. And he has a ton of protection in that lineup with some of the transfers that they brought in.
All right. 38th overall, we turn to the NCAA Insiders. Grissom, their representative. Give us your pick.
We went with third baseman for Virginia Tech, Carson DiMartini. That's such a baseball name. That's basically
Yes,
the only reason we drafted him. Had a 1048 OPS, 10 home runs for a Hokies team that, they probably were underwhelming last year. They'll probably do the same this year, but I hope DiMartini at least hits a couple dingers for us. But overall, low on Virginia Tech, high on Carson DiMartini.
He also played last season hurt, and he hit a little above 300 with 10 or 11 homers. So that's a good sign coming into this season. He's healthy.
100%. 39th overall, I'm on the clock here. I took my guy, one of the Energizer bunnies in the country, with Cam Cannarella. He's not going to hit you the home runs, but he had 140 total bases last season. He hit 388, stole 24 bags. And he struck out 39 times with 33 walks. I've been hearing I'm one of Eric Bakkich's biggest fans because he coached at Michigan. He's been very high once again on Cam Cannarella entering this season. I do not smell a sophomore slump in sight. So give me the outfielder. I think he's going to be a pivotal part of this team's success this season. We then go to Johnny V. 8th and 9th round picks here.
So, by the way, going back to not having a big board, that's why Cam Cannarella fell, and I didn't take him instead of Carson Benji because I totally forgot about him. But, with all the offense that I had, I thought it was time to get back into the pitcher to pair somebody up with Brody Brecht. And I went with another big strikeout guy, projected first rounder again for 2024. That's Jonathan Santucci from Duke. This guy had Tommy John last year. A little risky. I'm expecting him to bounce back big. This is a guy with elite strikeout stuff. Fastballs ramping up close to 99 last year. And just so you guys know, Santucci was one of the only pitchers that really put it on Wake Forest. He had 11 strikeouts and 4 1/3 last year, but a few walks came back to get him, and that's why he ended up giving up 4 earned runs. But I think Santucci, if he has a big year, he's going to carry the Duke Blue Devils close to Omaha.
Awesome pick. That's another really high ceiling pick, in my opinion. Johnny V, there is a strategy to this team, in my opinion. Hit us with your 9th round pick.
A guy that's not as known because, he plays for a team that's not as good. But I think, again, it's a sleeper in the ACC. That's Florida State. I'm going with Cam Smith, their third baseman. Needed to fill the position, and I got a guy that I feel pretty confident about with some bats in this lineup. He had 12 home runs last year. The average isn't impressive with 258, but I think second year under Link Jarrett, we're going to see a guy that's getting closer to the 17, 18 home run mark, probably get that average up to 280. And look out, guys. He had 5 triples last year.
Awesome. One of my biggest sleepers, happy to take him in the 9th round. Give me Andrew Patrick from Wright State, right in my backyard, actually, during my playing days. This is, chalk this one up on your bingo card. Recruited by the Raiders, no big deal. They didn't offer me, so we moved on. Last year, his sophomore season, batted .326 with 21 doubles, 4 triples, 20 homers, 59 RBI, 72 runs. And he was 31 for 35 in stolen bases, true 5 category contributor. I feel like if there was a cheat sheet, this guy would have been taken higher, but given that he's in a small mid-major in the Horizon League, he was able to sneak into the 9th round. Happy to take Patrick here. NCAA Insiders, 9th round pick. Grissom, go ahead.
Went with the junior lefty for Florida State, James Tibbs. Dude has done nothing but improve. Last year, 1153 OPS, 17 home runs. That was off a freshman year where he had a below 1,000 OPS and only 10 home runs. So hopefully his junior year is even better than sophomore, and this kid moves up the draft board.
Love it. Quick and easy. Jake, You're next in the 9th round.
That's what
pick.
my
Go
wife
ahead.
says about me.
Yeah, I was hoping this guy would fall to me. I went with my two-way player here, and Cole Mathis from College of Charleston. I think he led the Cape in home runs. He also pitched pretty well in the Cape. He didn't put up great numbers, but he had 23 strikeouts in 20 innings. He didn't have that many strikeouts last year with College of Charleston, but I think they were pretty high on his pitching ability, and he's just going to rake as well. He's a guy who's moving up draft boards pretty quickly.
Yeah, huge big-time bat, two-way player. This was a nice two-way pick because, I mean, the ceiling's there with the hitting. If he can pitch to an average pitcher, you have a slam dunk 9th round pick. The snake turn here with 9th and 10th round picks goes to Doug Ziefel of Action Network. Here we go.
Yeah, the pain of Mathis being sniped here is rehashed as it was a few weeks ago. But I have, with my 9th round pick, I'm going with a horse in LeBaron Johnson Jr. out of Texas. I mean, he really just has big game energy for, maybe a PG version of saying that here.
Yeah.
At a 2.91 ERA and a 2.31 BAA, he's just a reliable guy that I'm going to stick as my SP3.
Love it. Give us your 10th round pick too.
And for my 10th round pick, Jake talked about all the transfers going into the Tennessee lineup, and I took one in Billy Amick coming over from Clemson. Guy can flat out rake, hit 416 and a 772 slug. It'd be interesting to see what he does in this deep lineup.
Speaking of Jake, he's now on the clock.
Yeah, so I talked about LeBaron Johnson. Quick story. I saw him pitch in high school. He went to Paxton in Jacksonville. He was pitching against my high school when I happened to be going to one of my high school games, and he gave up 4 runs in 4 innings. So that kind of turned me off to him when he was a Gator commit. And then, so I've always been not too high, but he always had the stuff. He got up to 95 in that game, but I think he's due for a big season. It's cool that he came back, even though he's a senior, even though he was draft eligible last year. But with my pick, I'm going with Kyle DeBarge, shortstop for Louisiana. I realized I didn't have a shortstop yet, and then I was going through the shortstops. So this is where I wish we would have a big board, but he's going to hit 370 last year. Doesn't have a ton of power, but he's a really good contact shortstop. He's a good fielder. Wish we got fielding points, but we don't. And I think this is just a safe pick right here.
NCAA Insiders, you're now on deck. Go ahead, Grissom.
To Johnny's point, I may not be a fan of Mississippi State, but I do like this next kid, Dakota Jordan. Sub 1,000 OPS last season, but I think he could have a big year.
Love it. Then I'm going to go with Will Taylor with my next pick. This was a 2-sport guy, football and baseball. This is the first offseason that he focused solely on the sticks. And his stick last year was big, 362 average. He even stole 11 bases, walked 48 times. So he's got a great eye at the plate, 46 RBI, had 114 total bases. I look for his power impact to increase as well going into his junior season with the Tigers. Johnny, round out the 10th round. We'll do one more recap through the first 10 rounds. And then after that, we're freestyling through the rest of the draft.
I couldn't believe this guy was falling and nobody picked him. I had to go at one of the mid-major horses in all of America. That's Shane Lewis from Troy. Kid hit 27 tatas last year with 77 RBIs. And, I really think that if Troy, who some people have as a sleeper this year, is going to make any kind of noise, it's going to be because Shane Lewis is flirting with 30 home runs yet again. This kid can flat out hit the ball a country mile.
Great pick. Now let's recap some of the teams through 10 rounds. Johnny V. He has Kaggs, Honeycutt, Brecht, Laviolette, Moore, Hines, Carson Benj, Jonathan Santucci, Cam Smith from Florida State, and Shane Lewis from Troy. My team is currently Hartle, Hagen Smith, Tolley, Bender, King, Ryan Johnson from DBU, Cade Curlin, Canarella from Clemson, Andrew Patrick from Wright State, and Will Taylor from Clemson. NCAA Insiders, Burns, Shelton, Montgomery, Cash, Tigert, Deuce Gerson from UCLA, Evan Crest from Jacksonville, Carson DiMartini from Virginia Tech, James Tibbs III from Florida State, and Dakota Jordan from Mississippi State. Jake Fetner's team, Tommy White, Petrie, Massey, Bazana, Matt Ager from UCSB, Ethan Anderson from Virginia, Devin Taylor from Indiana, Blake Burke from Tennessee, Cole Mathis from Charleston, Kyle DeBarge from Louisiana. Then wrapping it up with Doug Ziefel's team through 10 rounds, Nick Kurtz, Weatherholt, Condon, Yasavage, Sirota, Beam, Cozart from Jacob Cozart from NC State, Anthony Silva from TCU, LeBaron Johnson Jr. from Texas, and Billy Amick, Clemson transfer to Tennessee. All right, 10 rounds. Any takeaways? Any favorite teams from anybody here?
Yeah, I really like Johnny's pick of Carson Benj there. Like, I'm really feeling the positional scarcity of the two-way player. Like, something you won't see at the major league level. This kind of positional scarcity, and Carson Benj is a guy that I'm going to love to watch. And unfortunately, he's not on my squad.
Yeah, I wanted Santucci really badly. So he actually didn't have Tommy John. He just had a shoulder problem, and everyone thought he was going to go under the knife with Tommy John, but he didn't have surgery or anything. Just rest. So I really wanted him after, but Johnny snagged him there.
Awesome.
Yeah, you know what? I got to say, I really love my team. I think it's great. I got a lot of high schooling guys, got a lot of power, got a lot of punchies, got it all, man. So if the average is up there and, the stolen bases are up there, I don't see who's stopping me, if I'm being honest.
All righty. Some confidence from Johnny. I'll retweet it. I like my team too.
Everybody likes your team before the season starts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
We do know what team's going to lead the league in strikeouts. Probably both ways.
That might be true too.
Maybe.
One last pause in the action of the college baseball fantasy draft, because the college baseball experience is brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. Win bigger by betting smarter this NFL season with Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into the Hall of Fame Bets revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark and join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame Bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com. and use code SGPN to get 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame Bets. Now let's get back to that college baseball fantasy draft. Let's wrap this thing up. We're going to zoom through the final 6 rounds here. Not as much analysis from any of our points of view. We're just going to list off names, maybe a stat that we loved, and why we picked the guy. Johnny V, you're beginning off the 11th round. Go ahead.
Yeah, I went Griffo Farrell, needed the position. This kid hit 396 last year at Virginia, going to be one of the key pieces for the Cavaliers' run this year.
For me, in the second pick of the 11th round, I went with a guy kind of off the reservation. Give me Joey Loewen from Delaware. Last season, he hit 392 with 14 bombs, 27 doubles. I think the doubles transition to homers this season, hopefully for a breakout. 80 ribbies, 1146 OPS. He's a power bat for a mid-major team. Fell to the 11th round. I'm happy with the pick. NCAA Insiders, you're up next.
Went with Kevin Basil, another Texas Tech Red Raider catcher, hitting over 1,000 OPS. I'll take that all day.
Jake?
Went with Sam Kulasingam from Air Force. He's just a hit machine. He has over 100 hits each of the last 2 years. He was drafted, I think, in the 17th round, but he decided to come back for another season. He also had 50. Let's see. He had 50 walks, just 24 strikeouts last year. So he's an on-base machine.
I'll admit Kulasingam was a guy that slipped through the cracks on my part. Big name there. I love the pick. 55 overall, 56 overall goes to Doug Ziefel of Action Network. Here we go.
I get my two-way player in Ethan Bates from the Diamond Dogs. 16 bombs as a second baseman and 25 relief appearances is just what I'm looking for at this point in the draft. And then round 12, I round out my rotation with Jacob Mayers from everybody's favorite blue blood, Nickel State. I mean, dominated as a freshman, 2.02 ERA, 105 punchies, 175 BAA. Put that at the back end of your rotation.
Yeah, I love the pick. That was stolen right off my draft board. I was looking to take him in the next couple of rounds. Team CBS Sports, SportsLine with Jake Fetner. You're on next.
I want some stolen bases here, so I went with Riley Priest, center fielder for Morehead State. Coming off a 2020 season, he's back for another season. He's just gotten better each season. His average has gone up. His on base, his slugging has gone better. He had, I think, at 1,200 OPS last year. I think he's just a mid-major sleeper.
Love it. NCAA Insiders with pick 58 overall, Matt Grissom. Go ahead.
The pair of the Bash brothers with Bazano, we went with Brady Casper, Oregon State catcher, batting 366, or outfielder, not catcher. That's the next one. 304 batting average, 12 home runs. Sorry, we're going fast now. I'm trying to make notes.
You're good, dude. I passed on the corner infielders because I loved the depth at that positions, and I went with some mid-majors guys. So I took a Delaware guy last round. I'm taking a Maine guy this round. Give me Jeremiah Jenkins. Hit 365 last season. Packed a punch with 21 home runs, 12 doubles, and he was a 1,200 OPS guy. Johnny V, your next two picks here for rounds 12 and 13.
LSU Saturday guy Thatcher Hurd is a high-octane arm, struggled early in the year, but boy, when they got to Omaha, he found it out. And I think he's going to carry it into this year, and he's going to be a big part of LSU getting back to Omaha this year.
Can I just say the betting odds on Johnny V's team, it would be like probably second or third favorite, but if this team hits their ceiling. Again, another one of the ceiling picks that, I mean, they break out. I mean, he's hitting gold. Your next pick.
Yeah, I went with Christian Moore, needed a second baseman, and this kid was just awesome last year. Hit over 300, 17 home runs, and 16 steals to go with it. He's going to be the tone setter for the Tennessee Volunteers, despite some of the big additions in the transfer portal.
Yeah. I'm going again to the mid-major ranks. Give me Fenwick Trimble, an outfielder from James Madison. He scored 63 runs last season, had 2 triples, 13 bombs, 22 doubles, 52 RBI. NCAA Insiders up next.
We went with the catcher this time, not last time. Caden Bodine. Bodine from Coastal Carolina, 366 batting average, 11 home runs, over 1,000 OPS. We're just stacking depth at this point.
Love it. Jake Fetner, you're
next. I actually had Bodine circled as my next pick, and then he was sniped on the NCAA Insiders. So I had to go with the Arkansas pitcher to snipe, hoping they want to go with them. So I went with Mason Molina, left-hand pitcher, Arkansas. He was the ace for Texas Tech last year. He's going to be the Sunday guy for Arkansas this year. I go with a lot of Sunday guys, but still with a lot really good rotations, teams with really good rotations that you're going to come to Sunday just all beat up from the Friday and Saturday night guys.
He's a big boy now. I don't know if you've seen him in the Arkansas uniform, though. He's put on some pounds.
Really? Hopefully it translates to miles per hour.
Got that mustache. That mustache and a beer gut, all that barbecue.
Awesome. Dude, mass equals gas, Grissom, okay? All right, Doug, you're next at the turn. Next two picks here.
Yeah, I got my second catcher in Caleb Lowenvita. He hit 316 with 16 bombs out of Cal and had a great summer in the Cape Cod, hit 329. So looking for more progression this year.
Go ahead. You're on. You're at the podium again.
Round 14, we're going to start filling out our outfield depth to get Lawson Harrell out of Campbell. He had really broke out last season in the power department, hitting 371 with 22 bombs.
I will not lie. This round, the 14th, there were 2 guys taken off my big board. That was one of them, and we'll get to the next one here. Jake, you're up next.
Yeah, I went with Nolan Schubart for OK State. He mashed as a freshman. Does have a bit of a strikeout problem, but if he lowers that as a sophomore, he's still going to hit plenty of bombs this year.
Especially in the outfield position. I mean, there's 5 guys that you can draft via room with the roster. You can play with some high ceiling, low floor guys here. NCAA Insiders round 14, your pick was?
We went with the best closer in college baseball, Tyson Neighbors. right-handed pitcher out of Kansas State. This was kind of a risky pick. I wanted him on the roster at a 1.85 ERA, 86 strikeouts, 16 walks, but we'll see if he can get some more innings this year.
So my 14th round pick, I'm going to go with the high school teammate of Nolan Schubert. Orchard Lake St. Mary's was an absolute powerhouse in my area, neck of the woods in Michigan. Ike Irish, the catcher for Auburn, he in his freshman year hit 361 with 50 RBI, 48 runs scored, middle of the order bat in the SEC. There could be a sophomore slump potential, but he's the backup catcher for a reason. I love this pick. Plus, I wanted some hometown spice on my team since Schubert was taken right in front of me. So we're going Ike Irish as my backup catcher. Johnny V, your next two picks.
Doug, I got Caleb Lomavita's teammate, Rodney Green. Very talented. First-round potential this summer. He strikes out a shit ton, but that kid has 2020 potential in 2024 to give himself in what's a contract year. I really love me some Rodney Green. Nice, powerful lefty swing.
Awesome. Go ahead with your next one, too.
Went with Tanner Witt. This is a ceiling pick. He was a projected first-rounder last year, but came back to school. Really good stuff, but because of an injury, it kind of threw him off a little bit. I think he's going to be good as a Saturday guy next to LeBaron Johnson for Texas this year.
I like that pick, too. I'm going to fill out my starting rotation, my fourth starting pitcher here, Luke Holman out of LSU. He might even be the Friday night guy for the Tigers yet. We really haven't heard if it's going to be Holman or Thatcher. Holman got the day one start in inter-squad scrimmages during the week here, and he was a very steady arm in his first 2 years with Alabama. He had 7 wins playing for a coach who was betting against him quite seriously. Quite literally. I mean, he had a 3.67 ERA. He threw 81 innings last year, 87 strikeouts, and a 186 batting average against. Matt Grissom, you're up next.
Went with the guy, Kendall Diggs, another Razorback. I just think Diggs is due for a very good season. He's our best power hitter. He's been virtually unhittable through spring ball, or through winter camp, I guess, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, Diggs, outfielder, Arkansas.
Jake Fetner, you're up next.
Yeah, I went with a little bit of a lottery pick here. I went with Cade Obermueller, left-hand pitcher, Iowa. Another Sunday guy following 2 pretty good Friday and Saturday guys. He's a draft-eligible sophomore this year. He struggles with walks, but he has the nastiest stuff. He's a lefty up to 97, 98. Filthy slider that he mixes in as well. If he could just get the command going for him, I think he's due for a big year. That's why I like him as my 4th pitcher. I was going to go with Cam Leiter, but I went with the upside pick and Cade Obermueller.
Awesome. Yeah, Leiter's solid as well. Round 15 and 16 picks for Team Doug. Go ahead.
Yeah, I took a bit of a gamble here, taking Ryan Waldschmidt from Kentucky. Tore his ACL in July, but apparently, just as we were drafting, I found an interview he gave like a day before I picked him, is that he said he is a full go already in practice. So I was willing to roll the dice there. And then I continue to fill out my outfield, win round 16 with Austin Overn from the Trojans. Scouts think his power is going to develop, and he hit 312 with 16 bags. So that's a good flyer to take this late.
Special pick number 77, my favorite number in this entire draft board. Go ahead, Team Jake.
Yeah, I went with Cam Maldonado, the other Northeastern outfielder here. All the eyes are on Mike Sirota, but Maldonado had a really good year as a freshman last year. He stole quite a bit of bags. He has plenty of pop as well. He could be the next Sirota next year because he's only a sophomore this year.
That is correct. I think it's a great pick. NCAA Insiders, 78 overall. Go ahead, Chris.
I guess we love the Red Raiders. We went with center fielder Gage Harrelson, had a 324 batting average last year. I hope the Red Raiders just absolutely rake this season.
You've put all your chips in on Texas Tech in the Big 12. My next pick, one of the only freshmen taken in the draft. I didn't count. It might have been the only one. I'm so actually surprised Liam Peterson didn't get taken. Trent Caraway of Oregon State. I think he's the best freshman west of the Mississippi. Go ahead, Johnny.
I went with Jamie Ferrer from Florida State. It's my second Seminole, but like Cam Smith, Jamie Ferrer's one of the bigger hitters. Not a lot of power, but I think this guy has great batting average, and he's going to be one of the key pieces for the Florida State Seminoles this year. He's a doubles machine. Had 41 in his career in 2 years so far.
Awesome. Hit us with your was the 17th round pick here.
Yep, this is a little bit more of a flyer. First baseman outfielder from Texas, Jared Thomas. Pretty good hitter last year in his freshman season, batted .321. Not a ton of pop, not a ton of steals, but this is just a guy to fill a position that can rack up some hits.
Awesome. I went with a flyer on another two-way guy. Give me Lyle Miller Green out of Austin P. He hit .354 last year with 16 home runs, 51 RBI. He was one of their weekend starters last season, projected to be either the Friday night or Saturday night starter here for the Govs. If you look at the pitching stats, they're a little rough. Last year, he was 1-6 with an 8.88 ERA, 51.2 innings, but the strikeout potential's there. So give me Lyle Miller Green. Hopefully he can reach his ceiling with the two-way. NCAA Insiders, 17th round, your pick.
Our next pick, just building depth, we went with Washington infielder Cam Clayton. He was all Pac-12 honors last year as a freshman, started all 55 games. So we want depth.
Awesome. Jake, you were next.
Yeah, I had to grab my second catcher here. I went with Andrew Sundin, catcher out of UCF. Hit .340 last year. He's just a huge 6'5", 240 catcher who towers over everyone else. UCF did have a coaching change, but Sundin stayed. He should be the backbone of that lineup, so I like him.
My fault there. Might have leaked something that I was wanting to show later. Doug Ziefel, you're on this round 17, round 18 turn. Your last two picks for Team Action Network. Go ahead.
Yeah, my bench is about positional diversity at this point, so I went with Zach Stewart at Missouri State, corner outfielder, first baseman. Hit .302 as a freshman with 12 bombs. He's got a lot of size to him, so hopefully as he keeps maturing, we get more power out of him this year.
Awesome. Round 18. Round off your team here.
Yeah, and then my last pick is Sean Keys out of Bucknell. Played a lot. He played mostly third base last year, but has eligibility around the whole diamond. Hit .339 with a .679 slug. I mean, that's a good first. That's a good last pick for my roster.
Like it. 87th overall, last pick for Team CBS Sports, SportsLine, Jake Fetner. 87th overall. You taking who?
Yeah, I was hoping to get one Gator. I was going to go with Liam Peterson, but I thought we had another pick after. But I went with I went with Anthony Martinez, first baseman at UC Irvine. He hit .370 as a freshman last year. UC Irvine returns quite a bit of starters on the infield from last year, and they should be a pretty solid Big West team along with UCSB. I think Martinez is due for a big year.
88th overall, rounding off Team NCAA Insiders, representing them, Matt Grissom. Go ahead.
We went with the senior infielder. He can play second, short, third, all over. Kevin Keister from Maryland. He's first team Big Ten. Had just a sub 1,000 OPS last season. 10 bombs, 16 doubles. So we need more of that in 2024.
Awesome. I have a question for all of you guys. Have we ever heard of the advanced analytic VAR? It's something that I just made up on the fly. It's the replacement for wins above replacement. It is vibes above replacement. This unit is 260 pounds, left-handed swinging Babe Ruth from East Tennessee State. I swear to God, the day of drafting this kid, I was scrolling Twitter, and all of a sudden, just this Bambino, galloping like a, just a gazelle. Beautiful left-handed swing, loaded with pop. Cameron Cisneros, leader in VAR, vibes above replacement. Johnny V, round us off picking for Team Breaking Bet. 90th overall, Mr. Irrelevant is who?
I needed another catcher, and it's slim pickings as it is in that position. So I went with a little sleeper out of one of the better teams at a mid-major. That's Sam Houston State's Walker Janik. They won the WAC last year, and Janik improved as a freshman to a sophomore. 2 really good years. Last year, 17 doubles, 13 tatas, 301 average, 65 RBIs. I think he could take another leap, man, as one of the cornerstones of that offense.
Awesome stuff. And I've been teasing the guys all week. That concludes the draft. And we have some sick team graphics that the guys will be able to use throughout the season, bragging about their fantasy teams. And we'll go through pick by pick. We're starting off with Johnny V. His roster goes off like this. Pick number 1 overall, Jack Caglione. He was the 2-way player from Florida. Number 2 overall for his team out of North Carolina, outfielder Vance Honeycutt. Number 3, Iowa starting pitcher Brody Breck. Number 4, Texas A&M outfielder Jace Laviolette. 5, Stanford catcher Malcolm Moore. 6, Mississippi State utility player, or he's listed as utility just on the bench right now, Hunter Hines. This is best ball scoring, so easily can play his way into a starting role. Oklahoma State outfielder Carson Benj. 8th overall for the team, Duke starting pitcher Jonathan Santucci. 9th, Florida State third baseman Cam Smith. 10th, Troy outfielder Shane Lewis. 11th, Virginia shortstop Griff O'Farrell. 12th, LSU starting pitcher Thatcher Hurd. 13th, Tennessee second baseman Christian Moore. 14th, California outfielder Rodney Green Jr. 15th, Texas starting pitcher Tanner Witt. 16th, outfielder Jaime Ferrer from Florida State. 17th, Texas first baseman Jared Thomas. 18th, Sam Houston catcher Walker Janik. Cover boy for the team, Jack Caglione. Then we move on to my team picking in the 2-hole. Second overall, number 1 for my team, Wake Forest starting pitcher Josh Hartle. Arkansas starting pitcher number 2 for me was Hagen Smith. 3, TCU 2-way player Peyton Tolley. 4, Coastal Carolina catcher Derek Bender. 5th, Wake Forest shortstop Seaver King. 6th, Dallas Baptist starting pitcher Ryan Johnson. 7th, Florida second baseman Cade Curlin. 8th, Clemson outfielder Cam Canarella. 9th, Wright State outfielder Andrew Patrick. 10th, Clemson outfielder Will Taylor. 11th, Delaware third baseman Joey Loyne. 12th, Maine first baseman Jeremiah Jenkins. 13th, James Madison outfielder Fenwick Trimble. 14th, Auburn catcher Ike Irish. 15th, LSU starting pitcher Luke Holman. 16th, Oregon State third baseman Trent Carraway. 17th, Austin Peay 2-way player Lyle Miller Green. And 18th, East Tennessee State first baseman Cameron Cisneros. Moving on to Team NCAA Insiders. Chase Burns transfer, so he's currently in the Tennessee Uni. When we get a pick of him in Wake Forest, we can definitely change that pick during the season. But number 1 overall for the team, Wake Forest starting pitcher Chase Burns. Number 2, Florida shortstop Colby Shelton. 3, Texas A&M 2-way Braden Montgomery. 4, Texas Tech first baseman Gavin Cash. 5th, Arkansas starting pitcher Brady Tigert. 6th, UCLA second baseman Deuce Gerson. 7th, Jacksonville starting pitcher Evan Crest. 8th, Virginia Tech third baseman Carson D. Martini. 9th, Florida State outfielder James Tibbs III. 10th, Mississippi State outfielder Dakota Jordan. 11th, Texas Tech catcher Kevin Bizzell. 12th, Oregon State outfielder Brady Casper. 13th, Coastal Carolina catcher Caden Bodine. 14th, Kansas State reliever closer Tyson Neighbors. 15th, Arkansas outfielder Kendall Diggs. 16th, Texas Tech outfielder Gage Harrelson. 17th, Washington outfielder Cam Clayton. 18th, Maryland second baseman Kevin Keister. We move on to another just fire picture here from Tommy White, cover boy for team Jake Fetner, representing CBS Sports. His team reads off as number 1 pick, 4th overall, Tommy White, third baseman from LSU. 2nd, South Carolina outfielder Ethan Petrie. 3rd, Wake Forest starting pitcher Michael Massey. 4th, Oregon State second baseman Travis Bizzana. 5th, UCSB starting pitcher Matt Ager. 6th, Virginia catcher Ethan Anderson. 7th, Indiana outfielder Devin Taylor. 8th, Tennessee first baseman Blake Burke. 9th, Charleston 2-way player Cole Mathis. 10th, Louisiana shortstop Kyle DeBarge. 11th, Air Force first baseman Sam Colasingham. 12th, Morehead State outfielder Riley Priest. 13th, Arkansas starting pitcher Mason Molina. 14th, Oklahoma State outfielder Nolan Schubert. 15th, Iowa. Shout out to Iowa State for not having a baseball team. Their starting pitcher, Cade Obermueller. 16th, Northeastern outfielder Cam Maldonado. 17th, UCF catcher Andrew Sundin. And rounding it off with UC Irvine, first baseman Anthony Martinez. The last team graphic that we have is Nick Kurtz, cover boy for Team Doug Ziefel of Action Network. First overall, Wake Forest first baseman Nick Kurtz. He was 5th overall, first pick for the team. 2nd, West Virginia second baseman J.J. Weatherholt. 3rd, Georgia outfielder Charlie Condon. 4th, East Carolina starting pitcher Trey Savage. 5th, Northeastern outfielder Mike Sirota. 6th, Tennessee starting pitcher Drew Beam. 7th, NC State catcher Jacob Kozer. 8th, TCU shortstop Anthony Silva. 9th, Texas starting pitcher LeBaron Johnson Jr. 10th, Tennessee third baseman Billy Amick. 11th, Louisiana Tech two-way Ethan Bates. 12th, Nicholls State starting pitcher Jacob Mayers. 13th, Cal catcher Caleb Lomavita. 14th, Campbell outfielder Lawson Harrell. 15th, Kentucky outfielder Ryan Waldschmidt. 16th, USC outfielder Austin Overn. 17th, Missouri State utility player Zach Stewart. 18th, Bucknell third baseman Sean Keys. That rounds out the team-specific graphics. Let's go back to the draft board here so our participants can look at the full teams as I ask them. Let's go left to right here. Your favorite team that is not yours. Johnny, go ahead. Start us off. Predict us your winner outside of your team.
I think it's got to be Doug. I really like what Doug did. Ton of balance. He's got a good mix of superstars, mid-range guys, and then some sleepers. Really love the Austin Overn pick. 3rd to last. We were talking about him on Breaking Bet yesterday. Matt and I were. This kid had 14 triples last year. Do you know how hard that is? 14 triples is a ridiculous number. So if this kid adds a little bit of pop, I think that could really bring his lineup over the top.
Love it. On this layout, NCAA Insiders own Matt Grissom is second here. Give us your winner outside of y'all's team.
I like your team. For those that have followed my stuff, know that I like starting pitching rotation. That's kind of the key. You got Hartle and Hagen Smith. Arguably 2 of the best pitchers in college baseball this season. Other than that, I'd say Doug's team. I like them. We've kind of talked about them the whole show, but there's some good parity in this, I feel like. So when does the free agent market open, though? Because I may have to pick up Liam Peterson.
That's an interesting question because Liam Peterson, there might need to be some fab on this because he might catch a lot of fab too. Doug, your team seems to be a popular pick. Give us your favorite team outside of your own.
Yeah, we talked about it the whole time. I really like Johnny's team. He's got so much upside. It's just the sky is the limit there. You're starting off with Cags, who may, defeat a couple other later round picks himself. It's just, but I look at what you said in the beginning, Noah, how pitching carried your College World Series team last year, and I'm interested to see how pitching really plays out in here with the scoring. So,
for sure,
your team could really be set up well.
Thank you, Doug. My favorite team personally outside of mine was Jake's. I think this team has a very, very solid floor. And if, like he mentioned, he has a couple of Sunday starters. If they reach what I think they're capable of, specifically, we're talking about Michael Massey and Mason Molina. Both of those guys are featured in some of the nation's best weekend rotations. We're talking about some sleepers that went literally in the Michael Massey could have been a Friday night starter for about 304 programs across the country. Mason Molina was the Friday night guy for Texas Tech last season. So, and he got him in the 13th round. I love what Fetner did with his team. I think there's plenty of potential, a lot of 5 category guys. Jake, rounded off with your favorite team outside of yours.
Yeah, I think it's your team and Doug's team are pretty close up there for me. I love the Jeremiah Jenkins pick. I think he just rakes. He's a big first baseman. I love the value there. I think Andrew Patrick's a beast as well. I love all the mid-majors that you took. Lyle Miller Green, if you throw away his pitching, his hitting is incredible. So, but he definitely has some upside. And I think Doug, with just all these high draft picks, a lot of draft eligible players who need to play for a lot of money for their paychecks. So I think he has probably 10 top 50 picks in his lineup.
Grissom, real quick, I need a State of the Union from Team NCAA Insiders. I didn't hear a single mention in this section here of the show.
Yeah, we may not have drafted the best team, but hopefully we drafted the winning team. And if you open up some free agency, there will be some plays made that I guarantee us to not at least finish last. Okay.
All right. Well, I honestly loved this episode. I loved having you guys on. Maybe we do like a dynasty style expansion draft in the middle of the season before conference play starts up. That could be an idea where we can add like 5 extra rounds of this and have some fun there and add some free agents. I have one last combo question for each of us, and then we'll get out of here. Johnny, give me your favorite pick in the entire draft on your team, like the one that you took a lot of pride in. Maybe you out schemed everybody on the draft board, predicted exactly where you're going to get him, and maybe the guy that's not getting enough love from everybody else on the panel.
I'd probably say my favorite pick. It's hard to say because I have a few, but I would probably go with Jace Lavalette at 4 because this is a guy I believe is one of the few underclassmen that's really going to have a shot to challenge for the Golden Spikes this year. There's a lot of hope for Texas A&M, and whether you believe it or not, they're a very hyped up team right now. And Lavalette is a guy that is going to be in the mix to be the number 1 pick next year. And then in terms of not getting enough love,
your sleeper guy, for lack of a better term.
I think, everybody knows who Shane Lewis is, so I think I probably got to go with Rodney Green. If Rodney Green pumps up the power a little bit and keeps the stolen bases, we're going to be looking at a 2020 guy that's rounding out my outfield and, kind of hitting maybe a little bit below 300, but, I can live with the strikeouts if that's what he's giving me.
Awesome. I'm going to ask the same questions to everybody here. Grissom, go ahead. Your favorite pick may have differed from Q's. We don't know, but your favorite pick from the team, and then just a sleeper that maybe everybody's overlooking.
I think my favorite pick was Evan Crest from JU. He 2.68 ERA, Atlantic Sun. I mean, I can't imagine there being very many bats that are going to hit him. So I feel like he's going to be able to be a solid starter for us. And then sleeper, I'm going with Kendall Diggs with the Razorbacks. From everything that I have read, heard, seen, this kid's going to have a huge year. I mean, he is by far our best power hitter. He's going to bat in probably the 3 or 4 hole. I just think big things are coming for Diggs this year.
Awesome. Doug, you're up next. Your favorite pick doesn't have to be your best player that you're predicting here, but just, favorite selection and then your sleeper.
Yeah, I have a lot of big names here, but really my favorite guy is Jacob Mayers. Honestly, I love pitching, and I just feel like that's such a small school. This kid's going to be absolutely dominant. I'm going to have to, manually Google his stats to keep up with him during this season. And then as far as the sleeper, Johnny really hyped up Austin Overn, and I like the ring of endorsement there, an elite power speed upside type of guy, and to get him pretty much as my last starting position player, I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, I'll go with my favorite pick. I think Jake talked about him a little bit in round 9. I was able to get Wright State's Andrew Patrick, true 5-tool guy, can do everything. I absolutely love his game. And then my sleeper, the guy that I think is going to outperform his draft selection, is Luke Holman. Round 15, LSU. I mean, could be the Friday night guy, but at least he's the Saturday night guy. And he's been a steady arm for Alabama. I thought he fell too far. Jake, rounded off here, your favorite pick and the sleeper on your team.
Yeah, I think my favorite pick's my two-way player, Cole Mathis for College of Charleston. He has the bat. It's just, if any pitching is a plus. And I mean, he sits 90, 93. And if he works on his off-speed stuff, that he should rack up some more strikeouts this year. But I'm surprised he fell all the way to round 9. I think just in terms of value, a two-way player, Cole Mathis in round 9 was the best value. And then my sleeper, I'm going to go with Cam Maldonado, the other outfielder for Northeastern. I just think he's a stud. He had stole 30 bases last year as a freshman, had 13 homers, 5 triples. Turned some of those triples into home runs. I could see him having a 2020 season, kind of like a Vance Honeycutt light, and for Northeastern.
Awesome stuff. I appreciate all you guys for joining me on this episode. Fire episode. In my opinion, not many other people are going to do a collaboration like this. Like I said, it took 2 weeks from behind the scenes, just from lives and vacations. So I greatly appreciate all you guys for participating. I had plenty of fun. I hope you guys did too. We're going to do one last thing here. We're going to do plugs. We're going to go backwards here as well, since we've gone left to right for most of the show. Doug, give me your, just what you're going to be doing content-wise throughout the season, where people can find you.
Yeah, content-wise, you can find me at my handle. It's right at my name. Make it nice and easy since my last name is hard to pronounce. At Doug Ziefel on Twitter. As far as actual content for the Action Network, I have yet to see a lot of word on that in terms of written stuff, but I will, of course, be covering it, and I'm going to post a lot of pics on Twitter. You'll definitely see more detailed write-ups from me probably post-season time, but if anybody needs anything deeper, wants anything more, always feel free to engage. I'm always around.
Awesome stuff. Jake, Fetner, same thing. Where the people can find you, the content that you'll be doing this season.
Yeah, my team at CBS Sports, we have a daily show Monday through Friday called Inside the Lines. It's a SportsLine podcast. We go over our best model values of the day. I'll definitely have some college baseball picks. I've been building my college baseball model for the last 3 seasons. And then on Twitter, I'll tweet out some of my favorite plays if we don't get them during our episodes of Inside the Lines, mostly because we don't have it on weekends. So on weekends, I'll usually tweet out my favorite plays.
Awesome stuff. Then we go to the NCAA Insiders. I mean, the team name says it himself because they were a combo between Matt Grissom and Quentin Mills.
Yeah, and
Matt Grissom, you might have a mouthful to plug here, but go ahead.
We're all about the stats. We're all about the stats at NCAA Insiders. That's why we Billy Beaned and moneyballed our team based on the stats. All right. Q and Smitty and I, we do a weekly show. It'll be Thursday, Friday, depending on Q's work schedule. He is a fireman during the day, so much more important saving lives than talking baseball. But we're at NCAAinsiders.com or NCAA Insiders on X. I'm Grissom on X, and we give you matchups, advanced analytics, plays, anything and everything college baseball. It's kind of our bread and butter. So follow us along and try to win some money. I think I won like right around 98 units last year. Every bet's tracked on NCAAinsiders.com, as well as all of our futures plays.
He plugged some of his records and unit stuff.
We killed it.
That, Doug
knock on wood every year.
Here we go.
It's gone more and more.
Yeah, the graphics that you guys pump out are second to none. Very easily accessible from you guys. Some of the best series matchups for each weekend. Highly recommend following them on Twitter. Everybody knows where to find
college baseball.
Everybody knows where to find me. We'll have weekly podcast episodes previewing the weekend series. I do daily picks over on our website as well, with our betting odds and record tracker. We'll look to continue what we did during the NCAA tournament last season throughout the entire season this year. So got a little bit of an upgrade in workload. Johnny V, finishing it off. Where can the people find you? What kind of content will you be providing this season?
That's right, baby. So obviously you can find me on Twitter at _JohnnyVTV. A lot of my thoughts, ideas, all of them brilliant, will be on there along with my picks. And I'm going to be doing the Breaking Bet podcast multiple times a week with my guy, Matt Grissom. And hopefully everybody on this channel will be able to hop in at some point. In terms of the written stuff and a couple other appearances, TBD, waiting word on, a couple things to see where I might be writing this year. But
he's a free agent in the market, everybody. Hit him up.
Well, kind of. I've had some conversations with places that I already work with.
Okay.
See what kind of like Doug, like what does the content plan look like this year? But definitely going to be putting out some stuff, betting, futures. Now it looks like we got awards, some draft analysis, and by the way, I hit up DraftKings and they said they're going to be releasing a lot of futures markets in addition to just the College World Series. So I'm very excited about that.
They better do it soon because Bet Rivers is going to catch all the action from me if they don't pick it up. So thank you guys for joining. Obviously, to those that are watching, I highly recommend all of these guys' stuff and what they currently do. Some of the biggest names in currently the betting, gambling points of view in college baseball. This took a lot of time and work behind the scenes leading up to this show. Drop a like, hit subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. Leave a review wherever you're listening to this on podcast form. And as Colby always says, you better start thinking about yours. Adios, amigos. Thanks for tuning in.